to the Anatomy of Marriage Snodcast. That sounded weird.
Snosberry. Okay.
That's not a snosberry. Who ever heard of a snosberry? Put a little... Somebody tried to fix it before the phones were up there.
Sorry, it was on Facebook Live too.
Put a little napkin there, that little napkin.
Hey guys, we just crashed Facebook. Hello, good morning.
Okay.
This is the pre-show. We
Okay.
started doing the pre-show on Facebook as well.
Okay.
We used to just do it on Instagram. So, good morning. Hello. Okay.
Good morning, hello.
Check. Hello. Think of your gratitude.
Oh yeah. Good morning, hello.
Do you guys have to remind your spouse of what they're thankful for? I didn't think so,
Welcome to my world.
but I do.
Welcome
Okay.
to my world. Okay.
Okay.
Alright.
All right. You guys also on Facebook and Instagram, if you have any questions that you want us to comment or
Answer.
talk about, good morning, Anna, Ray. Let us know. All right, because we're flipping to go live with the podcast. Oh, hey Mariner, say hello.
What
No?
are you doing?
Okay.
You can't
Oh.
say hello.
Hi, good morning.
This is my favorite thing. I love that we put this on our to-do list.
We put on our kids' to-do list their morning chores. What's up, Mike? That they have to hug us, and it works.
It's the best thing ever. And I always think they're just doing it because they authentically want to. Here's their chore charts.
No, it's backwards.
It'll be right to them.
There you go.
That
That's what
one.
we do. What's
Oh,
going
it's
on,
so
fam?
Cool.
But now it's
Okay, let's get this thing. What's up, Paul? I was just thinking about you, buddy. Hope you're doing good. Wanted to check in,
Alright.
see what was going on. Yo.
If you've done your morning chores, yes.
Still debating on whether doing the 75 hard, and I don't know, bro.
Not yet. We're just got too much going on.
Yeah,
Okay.
still crazy. My truck is full of crap still. And okay, thank you, sir. Doing good. Good. If you want to chat later, hit me up. Okay.
Alright.
Here
We're
we
not
are.
ready yet.
I know. We're flipping to be.
Okay.
All right.
Hello and welcome to the Anatomy of Marriage podcast. I'm your host, Melanie Studley.
Good morning. My name is Seth Studley, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. And today is day 12 of 100 days of Q&A.
If you're new here, welcome. We have over 200 episodes of our show, and they are very different from one another on all sorts of topics, so please check those out. We made them because you'll love them.
That's right.
Also, this show is brought to you by Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/anatomy of marriage to get your free audiobook on us because we also love you and want to give you an audiobook.
That's right. I have a couple of credits that I need to use on my Audible.
You have credits?
I do
am
have
so
credits.
jealous.
Okay.
I don't.
We do 4 things. We do a prayer, we do a past gratitude, we do a review of the day, and then we jump into your questions. Good morning, Mrs. Green. Hello, Miss Green.
And we're live on Facebook and Instagram right now, so that's why we're chatting it up with
All right.
people.
Timmy Simon, what's up? Okay.
Review of the day. 5 stars by
We're going
Title
out of
Chick.
order.
Okay. I don't
Keep
care.
it out of
My
order.
podcast. Keeping it real. This podcast does a great job talking about the things that you wish everyone would be more transparent about. Very helpful. 5
Yeah.
stars. Thank you, Title Chick.
All right. Good job. And
If you have not rated or reviewed the podcast, please do that. It is extremely helpful, and we will read your review on our show, even if it's a single star.
that's right. Okay, I'm going to pray. Thank you, God, Creator, for your blessings. Thank you for this show and how it has helped us. I pray that it literally helps people who are listening, help all of us to continue to have a growth mindset and to get information and to share information and be real and transparent with people. Thank you, God. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thankful. I'm thankful that you rock climbed on the park we went to yesterday. That was pretty fun.
I was going to say that is
Took
my
a picture of you
thankful.
and Sis on it, so it was cool. I'm glad we got to do that.
I was thankful that when we went to that park, you and you've always been this way, but I just was thinking about it. Like you're always all in to play with the kids and me.
Yeah.
And I think it's just really fun because it's like, we're running up the thing we're doing everything that the kids are doing, and it's
Yeah.
like our favorite thing.
We had a race.
And it's just really fun, and I really appreciate it. So thank you.
Right on. Okay. Question of the day. Go for it.
So we're gonna read another review that we got, like an email review, that top one
Email
there.
review.
Do you want to read that, or do you want me to?
Day 11. Healing for passwords.
No. Oh my
Just
gosh!
kidding.
Come on.
Go ahead.
It says, "Hi, I had asked you guys the question a few episodes back. Can a man be too soft when comforting his wife? I had been trying to comfort my wife through a hard time, but it wasn't working. This morning I could see that she was anxious, so I asked her, "Come and sit with me, babe." We sat on the couch silently. Then she started talking about her fears, and I just listened instead of being overly soft in my comforting like I had been in the past. And as she talked, she snuggled up to me, and we just talked for over an hour.
Yes.
Later, she called me at work and started crying and thanked me for sitting with her today, and that she needed to feel the security and love from me. Thank you, Melanie, for answering my questions so honestly. Thank you, you guys, for the care that you show to people you have never met. When I hear some of the questions on your show, I know that there are other people out there like me that you guys are impacting just as much. So that was an amazing email review that we got. Actually, it was just like someone emailed us, and we wanted to share it. We asked if we could share it, and they said yes. And so we're just really thankful that our show has positively impacted people and that it's helpful. So
yeah, I think it's actually not, I pray and I ask that the show continues to help us through our stuff and then other people too. And I think that we've had 2 instances of that. One, when we were moving in and you said I need you, come and hold me, and I wasn't weird or anxious or anything like that. And I did, and it was awesome. And then I think yesterday morning, like when you were writing your dad a letter and stuff like this, and you started crying, and I instantly just went to you and like held you and stuff like that. And that was different for me. And I think talking about it with folks who email us like that and just talking about it on the show, it really, honestly, truly 100% helps me to connect and change that attachment style with you. And I think why it helps is because we're actually talking about it. Yeah. It's not because I'm a therapist. It's not because you're, whatever. It's because it's not because you're magical. It's because we're just talking about it. So
I agree.
Keep up the good work.
All right. So the question that we got, and again, thank you for sending that email in and letting us know that it was helpful, because it really is awesome to get that kind of feedback. So the question says, what do I do with past hurts that have never been fully dealt with or resolved and are starting to compound as new hurts are added? My husband is very quick to say, "Okay, I'm sorry, let's forget about it." But it takes me a lot more than that to get over things. Since he tries to put a lid on it so quickly, I often feel that things are never fully resolved and healed, but I don't feel like I have permission to bring things up again since he has already put it behind him, and I can't understand why I keep rehashing what he has already apologized for. How can I clear out all of the pain from things in the past and actually put it behind me the way he seems to? It's a great question.
It is a great question. A lot of husbands do this. I did it. My dad does it. And the issue is with him. And I'm not saying, okay, Seth and Millie said you suck. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I don't want you to feel guilty or bad because you say, why do I keep rehashing the things that he already apologized for? That's because they're not dealt with yet, right? That is his style. It's like you guys are sitting down at the dinner table and he is letting you eat as much as he wants and saying, that's it, supper's over. But you're like, I'm still starving to death over here. I need to eat more. Nope, supper's over. This is it.
Well, and I will
Don't bother me with supper again.
Hold on. I do want to say, though, that what your husband is doing in your relationship is what I tend to do in our relationship. And I do think it's an Enneagram type thing. I think it's it's not that it's like, he's terrible, he's wrong, this is bad. It's like, that's probably something that because that's how it is in my nature. It's when something bad happens, I go like this. Oh, crap. Shoot. I did this bad thing. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Let's move on. Now I'll do better next time. And that's exactly how I feel. I feel like it's the best of intentions. It's the easiest way to move forward. I'll say that I'm sorry. I'll say, man, that sucked. I didn't really know that would hurt your feelings. I usually will tell Seth what I meant by it. Like, oh, I thought that it was this and I didn't think it came across like that. And then I want to just move on, and he is like,
that's the times when I think I get actually most upset, because I'm just like, you are not listening. And it's just like something still inside me that just wants to bubble up and talk about, right? But you're dismissive about it, and you're whatever. But also, I think that's an Enneagram thing for me, too, because I don't like conflict. I'm just like, okay, it's cool, let's move on. And I think both men and women can be guilty of this. It is a cultural gender thing, and it also is an Enneagram thing. And I'm not trying to razz on your husband or anything like that. However, we have to be willing to sit in the uncomfortableness and fix it, right? Like if Melanie, if I say, hey, I'm sorry that I did that, blah, blah, let's move on. And like every single day you're just like, but I don't know. I'm like, okay, girl,
Well, but
let's seriously move on. If there's something else going on here, we can talk about it. But if it's just the same thing every day, which I think early on in our relationship it was, it's a bunch of different factors. I can be a jerk and just not listen, and she can be like, we have to talk about this. Or
yeah, it's almost like we need to know the heart behind it. And that it's being said, the way that it's being said, like, is it like, I don't want to talk about it, or is it like, oh, I'm fine, we don't need to talk about it, right? Because there's a huge difference. I will say, though, that in me saying I want to move past things quickly, what I wasn't doing, it's not that I wasn't addressing the thing that I did wrong, I wasn't addressing the hurt that the thing that I did wrong caused Seth. And we did an episode about how I didn't know how to apologize. So it's in our marriage mornings somewhere. You can find it. I bet if you search apologize on our website at anatomyofmarriage.com, you can find the episode. But I didn't know how to apologize and address the sort of like unfair feelings that Seth was feeling when I was being unkind. So I would stop the behavior. I would be like, oh, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. But I wasn't actually sorry for how it made him feel. I was sorry for the behavior. Does that make sense? And so there's a difference there.
Yeah, and that kind of gets old. Somebody just put fear and shame. Good morning, Jenny. Good morning, Moody Adventures. Somebody just put fear and shame, and that reminds me of these Dr. Stephen Stosny episodes.
That's what they're referencing.
Yeah, the fear and shame thing is like
fear-shame dynamic.
Yeah, okay. If you're upset, it brings shame to me sometimes. If that's what I have a proclivity towards. And that kind of triggers me, right? And I'm just like, this is uncomfortable. I don't want to talk about it. So the fear-shame dynamic is huge. And Brad says when the issue is not the issue, there's always something below it, right? Yeah,
and I do want to say too that something that I didn't realize was, and I don't know how to word this because I don't think I ever really have, but so in our marriage, I made everything an issue. Nothing could be a non-issue. I was never okay enough to be like, oh, that's fine. Seth did that and I'm fine. I'm not going to die, or it's not the end of the world, or I actually don't need to say something to him. So is there something going on where you're actually kind of holding issues because it's something you know how to do? Not necessarily something that is good for you, but something that you know how to do. And I just want to kind of throw that. Does that make sense, or were you listening?
No.
Cool. I know you
no to both.
Staring at the thing. Okay, great. But I think it is important to reassess. What are you thinking? What are you getting hurt by? What is it the thing that you are getting hurt by perpetually that is adding on to itself? And is it something that actually needs to cause you pain? I'm not saying solve it yourself. Figure out I'm not saying like ignore it. You're being a baby, which is, babies aren't bad. I'm just kidding. I'm not saying that, but I am saying it took me a moment to realize, like, I'm never okay with anything. And I need to freaking stop that, because Seth is not doing anything wrong, but I am perpetually looking for something that he might be doing wrong in order to tell him that he was doing it wrong.
And what we look for, we always find.
We always find. So I would maybe also suggest figure out a way, if you can assess what you're upset about so often, and process it on your own, or ask yourself, do I really need to be upset about this? Like,
and talk to your friends about it. Just don't be in your own head.
And you talk to your husband about it too.
Hey Ray, what's up?
And use the clearing structure, yes.
Yeah, duh. Sheesh. Okay. And by the way, we didn't create the clearing structure. It's just a formulation of I statements and different differentiation things. I'm not taking credit for
formulation.
That would not be cool. Okay, let's read one more. What do you want to read?
Oh, they're in order. So this next one is, I'm a number 2 on the Enneagram.
I can read it and you can drink your coffee because you already read 2 of them. I'm a 2 on the Enneagram, and I'm pretty sure my husband is an 8. I'm a conflict avoider, and he tends to bring up conflict in order to grow closer. I know conflict isn't always bad and can actually help us grow, but usually what happens is when we get into a conflict, after some time, when I want the conflict to end, I start to cry. I don't want to do this, but I feel like my conflict tolerance is low. It feels so distressing in the moment. My husband immediately backs off and comforts me. What can I do so that I don't cry every time we have a conflict? By doing so, I know that I can easily manipulate the conversation, and I don't want to do that. Okay, are you using crying to actually manipulate the conversation?
Go for it if it works. I'm just kidding.
No. Or do you find yourself crying when you start to get flooded? Because sometimes when we get flooded, that's what I think she's saying. That's a biological response that is really hard not to do. And if you actually feel like crying, that's really hard not to do as well. So are you using that, this is too much, I'm going to cry, to stop everything, to because you know that it'll stop the conflict, which you're seeking, and then you're also seeking comfort from your husband? What would it look like if you sought comfort from your husband before you had to cry, before there was conflict? Hey, babe, can we sit down and just hold me? You know, like straight up. You know what? I feel so comforted when you give me a hug and when we just touch and stuff like that. Can we do that?
That was the end of your sentence. Wow, that was the end of his sentence, everyone. Yeah, the thing that I'm hearing in this, which is interesting, is that you're asking this question, but it sounds like you're doing the right thing. It sounds like there's an enormous amount of self-awareness here. You're saying, I'm a 2, he's an 8, he likes conflict, I'm conflict avoidant. When we get into conflict, I begin to cry, but it's not a manipulation, and then he comforts me. That sounds like exactly what should be happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that sounds weird and that's not what you're looking for, but I don't think that we can actually, or that we should actually try to change too much of our natural behaviors and sort of the way we behave, I guess, because it doesn't sound like that's super unhealthy. You're saying, I'm not crying to manipulate, and it doesn't sound like he thinks you're manipulating the situation. So in a way, it sounds like you're doing what is right.
Okay, there's this thing that John Gottman has. It's called fight maps. And it's just familiar with the concept. I'm not thinking of like the diagram, but you guys could Google it, just a fight map. And you kind of navigate the fight map when you're not fighting. And when it gets to here, okay, we're going to do this.
Are you sure that John Gottman has that? Because we have a fight map. Are you sure it's not ours?
It might be.
I hope you just referenced our own tools and then said it was John Gottman. I would love that. Because we have an AOM fight map on our website at anatomyofmarriage.com. You can go look at it.
I don't know where that came from or how we got to it.
I mean, he may have had one, but no, I came up with it.
Anyway, okay, yeah. And fill it out when you're not having conflict. And because it's okay. Conflict is okay. We can grow from it. But from personally, Melanie has said to me, I love conflict. And I'm like, barf city. I hate it. I don't like it, and I do what I can to avoid it. But that's not the best thing. So if this lady finds herself doing that, okay, there's some tools. Go to the fight map. Understand. Let's reframe the concept of conflict. It's not all bad. Things get done. It can get bad, especially when you're flooded. Because when you're flooded, you know our brain's like this. Boom, our lid is flipped.
And then we're only using the lower functioning portion, like our lizard brain. So everything from that lizard brain is like Neanderthal,
fight or flight, or maybe
forgive me,
fight or flight or freeze or cry or some other thing in this. So,
I think that you're doing a good job, though. It sounds like you're really doing a good job, and you can ask your husband if he feels like it's okay. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't sound like he doesn't, and so in a way, I think that that's really good.
Okay, this is a good question because it kind of hits home.
All the questions were good questions.
It talks about cooking. I thought you were going to thank me for cooking last night because you told me
it was phenomenal.
That was a good supper.
You cook better than any restaurant we go to, and that frustrates me because I want to go to restaurants, but it's not even worth it.
I'm going to work on my Thai food game. Okay, potential question. Blah, blah, blah. For gatherings...
Go ahead.
For gatherings with my in-laws, the only authorized people in the kitchen are my mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and grandmother-in-law. Family of origin. And those are the only houses we will gather at. They never let anyone help out in the kitchen or bring any food. They don't even want cleanup help. I've talked with several families about how all their family pitches in. This hurts because I learned to cook for my grandma when she cooked Sunday family dinners, and I'd love to help and learn to cook my in-laws' way, since serving people in my family through cooking is a big thing for me. I continually offer and get turned down, and it feels like rejection. I bond with other women over cooking, and they do that together, but won't let me help.
But won't let me or the other daughter-in-law either.
I've even explained to them how important it is to me to be able to help with dishes. Okay, so this sounds like a very, this happens in the South, to this day, my mom shoos people out of the kitchen, and she especially shoos Melanie out. For some reason, whatever. I think it's family laws. She has a
small kitchen, so it's kind of hard to...
Well, even when the kitchen was bigger, there's a sense of territory here. There's a sense of family loyalty, and there's a sense of I'm in charge. This is kind of my domain. This is understandable. It's hard to bring an outsider in if you have a rigid and fairly closed mindset of You said authorized people. Like, do you have to have a badge to get in the thing? Maybe you do. You have to have a family bloodline last name badge, which is kind of comical if I can look at it from a 10,000 foot view. But I would say that if it's the grandma, both sisters-in-law, and the mother-in-law who are against you, you're probably not going to win that fight. And I know that you're complaining to your husband, not complaining, you're talking to your husband about it, saying, hey, and then he's saying, listen, this is a strong system that we're in. This is going to be hard to break, right? That's how Melanie would do when we, early stages in our marriage, like she would have concerns or complaints about my mom and how she treated her and my grandma and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, these are strong, bullheaded people. I'm not sure where we're going to get with this, right? So make sure that you and your husband are in the same canoe on that. And I would say, what would it look like if you started taking your cooking talents, because I love to cook. I would stay in the kitchen with my mom and my grandma and learn how to make food. That's why I'm a good cook now. So I understand the importance of cooking and how fun it can be and how rewarding it can be to serve people. And relational. Like, I love it when my kids sit and watch me cook. We just talk and it's fun, right? And so I would say, what would it look like for you to talk to your husband about it and have gatherings at your house and try to recreate that?
But
you could do that, not as a jab or whatever, but you could do that. And then also, this is going to sound weird at first, but maybe accept it. I think that as a family therapist, some things are too ingrained, too entrenched, and too immovable to change. And I hate to say that, but we've had our own conversations. I'm now like, Melanie, we can do this. And you're like, no, people can't handle certain things, and it's only going to cause more division. Like, there's certain things growing up, it's like, nobody told my grandma certain things. And as I got older, I was like, Grandma, we did this. And she's like, I'm not a baby. Why do people like kid glove me all the time? It's like, oh yeah, we could have. But at the time, the tension was too great, and we didn't have a larger view of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that going directly to the question and sort of looking at it and assessing it, the first things that come to mind is you're not going to have this conversation with your family in-laws and it go well. That conversation will not go well.
It sounds so bleak, but we're talking from experience.
That doesn't mean that you can't create something new. So instead of thinking about, okay, look at it like this. Your in-laws and their sort of unit are like a little bouquet of flowers. It's already perfect how it is. It's fine. It's good. They've been together forever. All the right colors, all the right textures of flowers. Everything is there. And you're coming in and saying, those flowers need to change. Make room for my flowers. But they don't want to hear that. They're like, no, we know how to take care of this little bouquet. We know what we're doing. Don't ask us that. Just go out. We'll help. We'll do the work. No big deal. Instead of trying to change their structure, their bouquet of flowers, make your own somewhere else. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Don't be like, I'm going to flip you a bird, make my own bouquet, peace. I'm not saying that. I'm saying let them have that thing that's theirs. And then do something else over here that's yours, that does not compete with them, that will, and part of that is you can start to show them that you're a worthwhile human. And I know that sounds stupid, but I've had to prove myself 1,000 billion trillion times to Seth's family, but it never started with, why don't you trust me and think I'm good? It started with, you think I'm a piece of crap and I'm going to show you I'm not.
And you would do stuff. So here's another thing. So Melanie, and this, I can understand this, and Melanie had to earn the respect of my family, right? So you did that through like working hard, through painting a bunch of stuff. Remember, like when we go and Dad has us do art projects, and you've sewed stuff.
But it wasn't my objective. It was not my objective to earn their trust. It was like, I am a skilled person and I bring value. So
what would it be if you made your very best dish? Maybe it was a dessert, or who knows, an apple pie or banana pudding or fried chicken or whatever. They're all Southern dishes. And I don't know if you're from the South.
Clam chowder.
That's not Southern. And you just made a dish. Say, hey, I brought this, and then you're not going to be like, hey, try my dish, blah, 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 and talk about it and all this stuff, although you may want to, because I understand if it's your best dish, it might have been your mom's, it might have been your grandma's, and you're super proud about it. Bring it, don't have any expectations, and just put it out there, whatever it is. I guarantee you, well, if they go, oh no, this doesn't go with the meal, then that is on them. So I want you to differentiate yourself from their crazy rigidness.
And I would say too, start having little gatherings for yourself, for your family, where you can begin making your own family of origin around the kitchen culture, right? Because it is very hard to break kitchen culture. But it's important to be really respectful about it. Like, think about yourself in 15 years from now, 20 years from now. You've got children that are cooking with you. Do you want some person you don't know very well to come in and say, I'll do this, when normally your daughter does it? And you'd be like, no, that's what so-and-so does. Don't come in and take her plate. Like, put yourself in your mother-in-law's shoes, your grandmother-in-law's shoes, and try not to be offended. So they literally will kick me out of the kitchen every time we're there because they have a routine that they've made, and I can't be offended by it. I can do a lot of other things. I can do a lot of other things and bring value and help, but it's not helpful to be like, they don't want me in the kitchen, you know, because then they're like, well, there's a whiny baby.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with babies.
We want another baby.
I think it's so funny.
I'm
being ageist when I say you're a baby.
Okay, anyway, I think that, I understand your pain and the awkwardness around it. So just try to differentiate yourself and make your own thing. I got to go to work. We're about at 23 minutes. You guys are rad. Thank you for joining us every single morning. Well, not every single morning. Most mornings on Facebook and Instagram Live. Keep on listening. Send in your questions to hello@anatomyofmarriage.com, and we will absolutely answer them. And also
hello@anatomyofmarriage.com. Okay.
And also remember to go to audibletrial.com/anatomyofmarriage to get a literal free audiobook. They're awesome. And it's an investment in yourself, so do it. Anything else? Signing off?
Just please rate and review the podcast on iTunes if you haven't already. We want to read your review on the show. It's extremely fun to do that. And thank you so much. There's nothing else I can think to say. We'll see you tomorrow.
We just hit 1.3 million downloads, so thanks to you people. Whoop. Awesome.
That's right. Whoop.
All right.
Have a great day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Let's do that one.
Yep. Okay, and then this one.
Post show.